The story of raising Lazarus from the dead is an extraordinary one. There's no other story quite like it in the Gospels, except one. It's so full of puzzles. Jesus is in Galilee, a long way away from Bethany, where Lazarus and his family live, and he gets word that Lazarus is ill.
Just like we're getting word that people we know are ill.
And Jesus chooses not to travel to see him. We can't travel to see ill friends. We can't visit each other. But Jesus could. Why did he decide to stay away? We're waiting anxiously for news about our loved ones. Jesus seemed to have news.
Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. I'm going there to wake him up.
How did he know? Good, say the friends. If he's sleeping, perhaps he'll recover. We're waiting for some good news, hoping to hear the best. But Jesus told them plainly, Lazarus is dead, but let us go to him. Faithful Thomas pipes up, let's all go that we may die with him. Was he afraid of catching it? Or did he want to share in this death? Did Thomas have an inkling that the way into true life is to die to the life that we now cling to? Jesus had said,
Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light.
So they travel. They find him dead. People weep and say, Jesus, where were you? But Jesus wants to get close to this example of death. Where have you laid him? Show me the place. Jesus prayed and called out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out! Take off the grave clothes and let him go. Now, I want to think about Martha, Mary, and us. Martha had a great faith in Jesus, but she needed even greater faith. Martha was a doer. She would jump up and organize things, while her sister would stay still and think. Martha believed that Jesus was the Messiah. She got it, but she couldn't see beyond the barrier of death. She would say,
Oh, I know one day we'll all rise. One far-off day we'll all be together. Like that holiday, do you remember? Oh, what a time we had. We stayed up late. Not even Mary went to bed early that night. And Lazarus, he was the life and soul. Do you remember? It'll be like that, won't it? One day, we'll be together again. We will meet again. One day.
hopes that are some comfort, but not much. Vague and ill-formed. And what of Mary? What does Mary say? The same as her sister. If you had been here. But beyond that, she can't speak. She just cries. Jesus sees her tears. He sees the tears of those who come to mourn with her. and he joins in.
Jesus wept.
But Jesus, who wasn't there when the sisters thought he should have been, now draws near. Where have you laid him? Show me the place. We don't mind going close to death, but we don't want to go too close. So when Jesus asks that the stone be rolled away, people recoil. It's natural. We fear death. That's why I showed you that shocking image. What do you do when you see someone walking towards you with a face mask on? Do you cross the street? Do you keep your distance? That's our natural fear talking. When you pray, the Lord of life is standing beside you. Jesus says again and again in John's Gospel, I am life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the bread of life. I am the living water. I am the resurrection and the life. I've come to give you life in all its fullness. Jesus confronts illness, confronts decay, confronts death. He will not be denied. Surely you've noticed all the echoes between this story and Jesus' own resurrection. The tomb, the stone rolled away, the grave clothes, Mary weeping. Jesus confronts our fears. That's why there was a man in the mask in the tomb. He is the life before whom death flees away. So back to the garden, back to the tomb. But not Lazarus's tomb this time, Jesus's. There was Mary weeping. There was Jesus standing before her. But this time, he didn't weep. This time he called her name. Mary. Where would Jesus be if he came to Earth in 2020? Well, not here, probably. But let's just suppose he chose the UK to be incarnated in. Where would we find him? I think he'd be in an ICU, surrounded by nurses and doctors, some wearing bin bags because they've run out of PPE, debating whether to turn the ventilator off because he's not responding to treatment. And as the staff file out of his room, disinfect themselves and get busy with the next patient, one nurse turns around and goes back. Her eyes pop as she looks at the bed. It's empty. The nurse's name? Mary.